We were having dinner with a Uyghur drag queen. Yes, that's a thing. This is the custom that after boys get snipped, everybody in the family brings them some money to ease their suffering. There was like a little warning that said, you're gonna be living out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. The conditions might be a little bit rough. I know this place is most famous during the summer. The conditions are a bit less inhospitable, but I have to say winter is so worth coming to visit. It is so cool. It's like being on another planet. Ethereal snow wonderland is called Altai, located on the Kazakhstan and Mongolia border in the northeast of Xinjiang. My husband Asajan and his sisters were born and raised in the desert southwest. We've made tons of vlogs in South Xinjiang, and now it's time to switch things up a bit. Today, I'm taking you all with us on Asajan's sister's very first vacation. From staying in remote log cabin villages to dancing with strangers on the train, from exploring the local landscapes to visiting friends and relatives, this is our family trip to Altai. Now let's go back in time a few days to Asajan's family's village, where our journey began. Tomorrow morning is our flight to Altai. It's tough to arrange transportation in the village first thing in the morning, and Asajan's parents can't drive, so they couldn't drop us off. To avoid risking missing our flight, we stayed at a hotel in the city of Kashgar the night before. Asajan's family's village is about an hour away from here, so his sisters actually don't get to come see the city very often. We made a fun little excursion out of it. We wandered in the night market, got some nice dinner, and also stopped by the mall for bubble tea. And this taxi driver is straight up apologizing to me for being stuck at a red light. He's like, I'll be there in a moment, I'm sorry. Well, he was polite in the chat box. The guy also drove like he was in Grand Theft Auto. They're not accustomed to riding an escalator, and every time we get on one, Mirabon's all like... We had a nice time wandering around in the mall, literally stayed until it closed, and then we headed to our hotel. Little did I know, this unassuming looking hotel would end up being one of the biggest highlights of the trip for them, as they were so enthralled by it. They'd actually never stayed at a hotel before. When we came into the room, they didn't know you're supposed to put your card into the slot by the door for the electricity to come on. And they were just sitting there in a dark room. I was like, put the card in the thing. And they were like, oh my goodness. And the curtains like open automatically and close automatically. And they're like, wow. They're so excited by every single little thing. Traveling and vacations aren't super common in rural communities because people don't have that much extra money to spend on like fun stuff. So maybe if you have extra money, you'll buy a new tractor or you'll add something to your house or whatever. People don't usually use their money to travel. So it's just not a common thing. Like they didn't grow up going on family vacations the way I did. I was going on like 3 or 4 family vacations like every single year, and they just weren't. Riding a plane was another first. I thought we lost Asajan's sisters, but they've been over there watching the planes the whole time. Clearly, this is not a popular flight route at this time of year. Look how empty this plane is. It's definitely a more popular route in the summer. Finally, we broke through the layer of dust and smog that surrounds Kashgar during the winter, and we were officially on our way to Altai. Our tour was actually scheduled to start the next day, so we had a free afternoon to wander around. We're finally here, everyone. As you can see, Asajan is munching on a pomegranate. He brought like 15.
Kashgar Anari is the best in the world.
We have enough pomegranates to last this entire trip. So this language on the top of the signs here looks at a glance like Uyghur, but it's just written in the same alphabet. It's actually Kazakh. The two languages are in the same family, so we can recognize some of the words on the signs, but it's very clearly a different language. Uyghurs make up the vast majority of the population in Kashgar, where Asajan and his sisters are from, but here, Uyghurs are only about 5%. Over half the local population is actually Kazakh. This place also has some of China's most famous ski slopes, which have attracted a lot of people from other provinces to come and do business or work in the tourism sector. We took this taxi driven by a guy from Henan province who's been living here for 15 years and still not used to the cold, and we arrived at this beautiful park full of snow sculptures. So Mirban and Gumida were telling me about their first night in a hotel experience, and I just had to share with you guys what they did because I thought it was so funny. So they spent a half hour jumping on the bed, and then they told me they watched 40 episodes of their favorite TV show on the hotel television. I was like, how though? Like, we didn't have that much time. Like, it was just one night. And they were like, well, we sped it up so we could get through more of it. And I was like, okay. And they also had one of those little like Alexa type things in the room, and they said they talked to it for like an hour. Apparently they spent like half an hour pushing all the buttons to make the lights go on and off in different configurations. Sounds like they had a good time, and I'm glad they're enjoying themselves. Okay guys, moment of truth. We're going in the ice cave. The thing I saw on Douyin. Here it is. It's pretty sick actually. It's real ice that they created by dripping water all over this corridor of branches. I always have low expectations of things I see on Douyin because, you know, people tend to hype it up and put filters on it and whatever, but like this is actually pretty cool. But then we had to leave because Mirban was afraid that an icicle would fall off the ceiling and impale us. This girl is always complaining about being hot everywhere we go. She tries to open the window in the car and like won't let us turn on the car heating. She's hot everywhere we go, everything we do. And I think finally she's where she belongs. Here. 你是不是想留在这里不回去了？
他说他刚才给我说了，他说姐姐我晚上不用回酒店，他在这里睡觉，在这打。好的。
痛那个什么？
痛不痛？痛不痛？
痛不痛？
Yeah!
That evening, we visited a friend's house, and in typical Uyghur fashion, the table was covered in snacks. His wife also served us some of the traditional local milk tea, which is actually salty instead of sweet. Then our friend took us to this restaurant for dinner. Out of all the dishes on the table, the one that intrigued me the most was these puffy buns that you stick vegetables inside of. We also had a special guest join us, one of the dance performers at the restaurant. We were having dinner with a Uyghur drag queen. Yes, that's a thing. Just learned that today. Asejan's sisters were so impressed by our drag queen friend's dancing skills that they were genuinely confused if he was a man or a woman. They couldn't wrap their head around the concept of a man learning the woman's dance so well. They're from a conservative rural area after all, where it's completely unheard of for a man to take on the traditional mannerisms of a woman. But according to our drag queen friend, this is actually somewhat common in the city.
你几岁的时候开始学这个？
If anyone's confused, he's not trans, and this performance does not equate to actually living one's day-to-day life as a woman. Now that is something that actually is extremely rare in Xinjiang. Iston and his sisters are just like shocked because they've never seen a man with these kind of mannerisms, and everyone's expecting me to be shocked. I'm like, guys, I'm from the US, okay? I opened up the drag queen tag on Instagram to show them that this is actually not that crazy. Kandarak.
نادي مثل يايرم نادي مثل يايرم عشان قوغان كبسسني كشكتي مثل يايرم.
Just as the sun was coming up over the mountain, our driver arrived to pick us up and take us deep into the boondocks where the best scenery is. Head into the mountains.
Off we go.
We We signed up for a tour with 6 spaces. So since we're 4 people, that means there's 2 other people that we don't know. Although the best scenery doesn't start for a few more hours, we still saw some pretty cool stuff out the window. For example, these cemeteries that look like little villages. And these wild goats on top of a mountain. Yes, there are 2 goats. Look closely. One thing I wasn't expecting was for the condensation in the car to literally be turned into ice because of how cold it was outside. So you had to periodically scrub this ice off the window, otherwise your scenery is gone. Of course, we also had Uyghur study hour in the car. 最近在忙什么呢？
Yakından bu yan salametliğiniz kandakrak.
最近身体还好吗？干嘛？我们在拍视频呢。
Rehberleri kendimizge geldi.
哦，领导们来 tour 了。那check Eventually, the road got too windy for reading books, but the scenery was spectacular. It took us about 5 hours to reach our destination, which normally would be a pretty annoying drive, but not here. Everything was covered in a thick blanket of snow and sparkling underneath the sunlight. We're here. Tonight, we're staying at Hemu Village, which is famous for its cozy log cabin mountain scenery and its ski slopes. This is our room. Super cute log cabin style with a view out the window of little cabins and mountains. Oh my gosh, this is the thickest snow I've ever seen in my life! This place has heated floors. We're living in the lap of luxury, y'all. They said to keep this dripping so it won't freeze.
Hello， 你要不要？我去香港的时候换了1000块钱美金。
Wow. The inn owner was like, "You're American? I have American money." It's common for villages located in scenic or historically significant areas to have inns and restaurants and cater to tourists. You can still see local communities while driving down the road, but they tend to be a small cluster of houses instead of being a massive village like we're used to seeing in other parts of the country. We are going to be spending the night in this log cabin village. Gotta watch for the surprise nuggets in the snow. And we'll just be frolicking in the snow, making up for all the years of snow I haven't gotten to experience because I've been living in the South. We had lunch, admired our guide's impressive cigar collection that he apparently takes with him on all his travels, and then we went snow tubing. Yeah, I know there are some world-class ski slopes here in Altai, but that's way too expensive for 4 people. I'd rather just spin uncontrollably on a rubber tube for 1/10 the price. We are renting some tubes to go experience my childhood nostalgia of tubing down a snowy slope. Kashgar is too flat and arid to be able to do this kind of thing, so it's a first for Asajan and his sisters. Although Kashgar doesn't get very much natural precipitation, it is very cold, so if you flood a field, then it turns into an ice rink. In recent years, they've also built a little ski slope on a sand dune with fake snow, but I don't know guys, it's not really calling out to me. Anyway, Asajan's sisters were not accustomed to walking around on such thick, deep snow on this kind of terrain, and unfortunately, we're sliding all over the place. We got these warm boots at the market that looked at a glance as though they are suitable for winter weather, but turns out they really cannot handle any sort of slippery terrain whatsoever. Despite the struggle with the hills, Mirban and Gulmira seem to have a good time anyway.
Bye-bye! Whoa!
We kept going down that hill until it was too dark to see, and then it was time to explore the village nightlife. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean village nightlife in this random little cluster of log cabins in the middle of absolute nowhere? Well, I have news for you. So you might think that staying in a log cabin in the mountains in the middle of nowhere would be a retreat into nature cut off for the rest of society, but no, not here. It's like negative 20 degrees and people are eating out here. Bro, like, I have no appetite in this cold.喜欢蹦迪？
他说这个路太火了。
喜不喜欢蹦迪？以后还来不来？
来，现在就是不用全制中气。
First thing the next morning, we headed to our next destination, or we tried to, because this little situation held us up, but eventually we did get on the road. Checking out the scenery here on the side of the road, and we saw a fox.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it place.
What was supposed to be just an hour-and-a-half drive actually ended up taking us all day because we found so many interesting things along the way. And there was so much beautiful scenery at completely random spots on the side of the road.
Take a train ride just to see you. Ride for hours just to please you. You don't know how much I need you. 'Cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being alone.
Tonight we are staying in another little log cabin neighborhood. This is our room. Here's the view out our window. A little corner of a mountain and some more log cabins. Love these log cabin rooms. Here's the bathroom if anybody's curious. It's funny because when I was booking this trip, there was like a little warning that said, you're gonna be living out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. The conditions might be a little bit rough. So prepare yourself. Like, what? Rough conditions? Get out of here. That's a nicer toilet than we have in our house. There are 30 minutes of sunlight left, so we're gonna go for a nice little stroll and show you guys the village. Someone just gave Ace Dawn a bunch of free buns.
好吃。
So this place is a lot quieter than where we stayed yesterday. There's no KFC, there's no milk tea, there's no ski slopes, there's no nightclub situation. So if you're looking for a quiet back to nature kind of a vibe, this is definitely the place to choose. It's not like a solitary cabin out in the middle of the woods like is popular in the US. My parents and I used to do that when I was growing up. It feels more like a summer camp actually. It's like a bunch of little cabins in a row. So there's still people around, but it's very quiet and there's so much nature around here that's very easily accessible. There are a couple of restaurants, there's some basic amenities.
We also paid a visit to the main local grocery store.
Look at the vegetable selection. You can even buy a whole head of broccoli in here. Pretty solid in this day and age, but I cannot imagine how people survived here 50 years ago. There's not really much arable land around here, so I guess they just lived on meat and milk for like every meal. Here is the fruit selection. Pretty nice, actually.
Considering how remote this place is, the grocery store selection was pretty impressive. They have the usual things like century eggs and rice cakes. They have some local specialty products like these crunchy milk chunks. They also have an impressive variety of instant noodles and snacks. Interestingly, they are also keeping up with the trends. For example, China's recent obsession with capybaras. Even our guide's GPS is customized to be a capybara skipping down the road instead of a car. Anyway, after that, it was time for dinner, which was soup and rice because food is so expensive here and we're getting the cheapest thing on the menu. The next morning, we headed out super early so we could capture the frozen mist on the branches of the trees at Kanas Lake. Being outside before the sun is even up above the mountain is cold beyond what words can describe, but it was so worth it.
Wide awake in a spell, smoking like a signal in a dream. Silver dollar sinking down, and dizzy lightness in between. I found you just like an open window inside a new shade of green. I could live under this open window. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. Baby, your color burns through me.
Look at my baby! Look at my poor baby. I'm sorry for what I put you through. Good job out there. You survived. My baby suffered for those shots, but they did turn out good.
I think this was the coldest place I've ever experienced in my entire life, but at least I had my warm grandma pants from the market.
Lao Tai Tai.
You're supposed to wear another pair of pants over top of them, but who has pants that are that big, okay? I'm just wearing them as they were made. My hat is covered in ice. When you got this kind of scenery, it's worth it, you know? I'm willing to suffer if I can see snow. And we saw snow, that's for sure. All right, guys, time to take this hat off and see just how messed up my hair is after all this. Oh, that's a bird's nest. Currently stuck on a hill. So even though I have a driver's license, Isjan's sister has one, and he also now has one, we didn't consider doing our own road trip in this region at this time of year because the roads are a little rough, okay? And even this very experienced driver is struggling with this hill.
Next stop, the border with Kazakhstan.
We are at Baihaba on the Kazakhstan border. Everyone is standing in line here. This is what everyone is waiting in line to take a picture with. This rock. It says Baihaba. Look at this line. Is it worth it? I don't know, y'all.
The view of the Kazakhstan border marked the end of our journey through the snowy frontier lands, and it was time to head back. With an extra bonus stop on the way, of course, to play in the snow. We milked every hour of that beautiful sunlight and saw so much cool scenery on the road, and then we arrived in the city right after sunset, leaving us with just enough time to visit our friend for a couple hours before the overnight train. We had a delicious home-cooked dinner with the usual luxurious assortment of snacks.
像我们的婚礼一样呀，一大队伍。 Asejan is such a pro at interacting with babies. Asejan is ready to be a father.
I'm ready to be a father. I'm waiting.
Coming in 2028, I guess. Yeah, probably. If all goes well. We hope to have an offspring in 2028, so stay tuned.
不是。哦。
什么鬼？ I think they should do this everywhere. It definitely spices up the wedding, that's for sure. Then we said our goodbyes and it was time for us to head to the train station for our overnight train to Urumqi. This train was also a first-time experience for Mirban and Gulmire. Just a few minutes into our journey, everyone in our train car got invited to some sort of special event that was happening in the lounge. They're about to make a promotional video for the Chinese New Year train rush.
Сен бүтэн сурах хэрэгтэй л шүү дээ. Шинжаан байна. Жинжиг хичээлээр заалгаад.
So while we were getting wild in the special train, everybody else was going to bed. The next morning, we arrived in Urumqi and went to visit some of Asejan's relatives. Someone put his ring on the wrong finger last night and fell asleep with it, and now it's stuck. Someone, yeah, 给你面子, someone put the ring on the wrong finger. So we're gonna try the hand raising trick and see if it works. Asejan's cousin just got snip snip. They do it at like age 6 or 7-ish in Uyghur culture, and it's the custom to give them some money to ease their suffering. So we're gonna give this to him.
Ne çıkıyor yadıda?
He's bedridden for 20 days after the snip snip. That's crazy.
20 gün yatıda. Amerika'da pek küçük vakitte, to'g'ilgan vakitte.
After lunch, it was time for the family tradition of making some ridiculously overly filtered videos. Then it was time for a family trip to the jewelry store to get Aesjan all greased up so he could finally slide the ring off his sad puffy finger. Yes, jewelry stores are always prepared for incidents like this. Learn something new every day.
Ayan. Totoo mağaza ne kovasını. Kendi gönderip neyle ma yalan.
Aslan Pali. Tok 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 tok.
Yok tutum kullanma.
吸取教训了吗？不许放那里，拿掉。
And this little trip in Urumqi was the end of our family vacation. We said goodbye to Aesjan's sisters at the train station and they headed back to Kashgar. And we headed back to the east side of the country because it's almost time for Chinese New Year. And of course, we have to record all the exciting celebrations that are happening in the most exciting places. And I will share that with you guys in the next vlog. Anyway, thanks for joining us on our epic journey to the far north. The scenery was incredible, and it was also great to spend some quality time with my sister-in-laws, or sisters-in-law, or whatever it's called. It was a lot of fun finally being able to take them outside their hometown to explore new places and experience new things. And as an only child with no siblings of my own, it's nice to finally have sisters. There are many other beautiful places in Xinjiang that we also want to explore together, so stay tuned for whenever there's going to be another family vacation. Happy Year of the Horse, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog.